Welcome back, guys, to CFL Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans, and we have our preview of Week 16 coming up. We only got 3 games this week, but I think we'll have some good ones, so let's get right into it. But first, before we get into that, we got to talk about today's sponsor, which is BetStamp. Now, BetStamp is not a traditional sports betting website. It does not offer you one money line. It will actually offer you many money lines from a variety of sources and other betting websites, so that way you can make the most for every bet you make. So make sure when you download it from the App Store, or if you use the link in the description below to the website, you will use code CFL Central, so that way they know that you're coming from us and you're saving money. So that way you can make the most out of your bets and get the biggest possible payout instead of whatever just your app will offer you. So thanks again to BetStamp for sponsoring this video. Let's get back into it. So yeah, first game of the week. I apologize. I think this one's actually going to be going up a little bit late just because I had a lot of stuff going on. Very busy with, college and a lot of stuff going on. So I've tried to be able to record this when I can. My apologies if this is going up late. If some of the games have ended or have started, it hasn't started for me. I have no idea what's going on with them. So this is my true predictions. But our first game of the week we got is Hamilton versus Montreal, in where the Ticats are going to continue after a massive week last week with their win over the Blue Bombers against Montreal, who was off this past week. So interesting kind of dynamic here. Hamilton looking to close that gap with Montreal, who is second in the East. Also as well, Hamilton, more importantly, looking to close that gap with Saskatchewan, who currently is set to be the crossover team. However, there may be no crossover if they're able to put up a good enough performance. And Saskatchewan continues their downwards trend that they've had throughout the season. Or at least throughout this part of the season, I should say. And so, yeah, I'll be really interested to see where this one goes. Mainly just how much Hamilton is able to carry with that performance that they had last week. I mean, obviously, we saw how it went with the Bombers, where they had that massive win over Saskatchewan, where the Banjo Bowl blowout, as it was. And then they weren't able to continue that because players got overly confident. However, I got to imagine that this was more of a healthy boost of confidence for these guys, because the Bombers have had that success all season, whereas Hamilton has really struggled and they haven't had that success all season. So I feel like maybe having that kind of taste of it will be enough to really motivate them to come to play. Dane Evans played fantastic. That's exactly what they needed. And I'll be curious to see how this goes against Montreal. Obviously, Montreal has had a pretty good stint with Trevor Harris. But there have been some weak performances here and there. It has happened. However, I actually think that because of in my eyes, this being more of a healthy boost of confidence as opposed to something more like the Bombers where it was detrimental because they got overconfident, I actually think that Hamilton's going to come on top this game, but I think it'll be a close one. I think Montreal will put up quite a fight. I think this game might actually go to overtime. But yeah, I'm curious to see how this one goes, so I'm going to take Hamilton in this one. But our next game of the week is going to be the Toronto Argonauts versus the Ottawa Redblacks. And I got to say here, this is a little bit of a strange one, just because Toronto, for me, I've had a lot of predictions where I've predicted Toronto is going to do a lot worse simply because they've shown me pretty decent glimpses of that. And Ottawa has been so hot cold. Obviously, they had that decent win a few weeks ago. They had last week off. And so how much of that is still going to be present here? I'm not sure. I'm really on the fence of where to go with in this one. However, I do think that Toronto is more deep in terms of their roster than Ottawa is, even though Ottawa should be theoretically doing a bit better than they can. However, I'm also not sure because Jalen Acklin is really being kicking it up, and as well as Nick Arbuckle for the Ottawa Redblacks. So this one's difficult for me. This one's actually probably more difficult for me than the Hamilton-Montreal one. You know what? I'm going to go bold. I'm going to go with Ottawa. I think probably Toronto wins this. But my pick is going to be Ottawa for no other reason than gut feeling. Sounds silly. Judge me all you want. It's just, I got to go with my gut. My gut is telling me Ottawa. But it's very possible that Toronto wins and extends their lead in first in the East. And that'll bring us into our last game, though, which is Calgary versus BC. A rematch of last week. A very good game of last week. Makes me want to be able to watch this game this week. However, sadly, I'll be working. However, we do have TVs with sports at my work. Maybe I'll change the channel to that while I'm working. But obviously, Vernon Adams Jr. has finally kind of adjusted a bit. Enough to the BC Lions system to be able to put up some decent offense and get that offense rolling back to where it was with Nathan. Well, not quite back to where it was, because Vernon Adams Jr. is not Nathan Rourke. I'm sorry, he isn't. However, he did have a pretty decent showing against Calgary this past week, and I think it's possible that that continues. I think this is going to be really tight. Lions 9-3, second in the West. Calgary looking to gain on them. They're third in the West. Just hoping maybe for home field advantage in that game where they inevitably play the Lions in the first round of the playoffs in the West here. However, I don't know. I think Vernon Adams Jr. is going to settle even more into the Lions system than he already had that past week. And I think he's going to be able to put up quite that strong performance that might be able to get it done for BC. However, on the other side of things, I think Calgary is also going to be motivated from, that win last week that loss last week, I should say, as they were kind of predicted to win by a lot of people. Not just me, not me, but a lot of people, simply because of the issues that BC has had to deal with. Brian Burnham was quite the star on the receiving core, for the receiving core of the Lions this last game against Calgary, and I think they're probably going to put some more effort into shutting him down. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with Calgary. I'm so unsure. This is going to be such a good week of football because I'm struggling to pick each of these games. I'm going to go with Calgary, simply because I think they're going to try to get redemption for last week against BC. However, I think we're talking under a touchdown. I think we might even go to overtime again this week. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's probably a little late. Sadly, I'm sorry. My apologies about that. I will try to not be late about these things. Just a lot of stuff is going on in my life right now, and I'm just trying to manage this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what your guys' predictions are in the comment section down below, and I'll talk to you guys next time.